Jack Donovan, one of the wealthiest men in New York, was a name that turned heads. Charismatic, successful, and always the center of attention, he was living the life many dreamed of. But even the richest man in the city had his struggles, and his was finding someone to accompany him to one of the most prestigious gala events of the year. His usual dates were either occupied or, well, not what he was looking for. This time, he wanted something different. On a whim, Jack made a decision that surprised even himself. He would bring someone unexpected. He arranged to meet Lily Brooks, a strikingly beautiful escort with a magnetic energy that could brighten any room. She was recommended as someone who could make anyone feel at ease, and Jack thought, why not? The night of the event, Jack met Lily in his penthouse, expecting nothing more than an easy evening. But from the moment she walked in, wearing a smile that was somehow both dazzling and down-to-earth, she shattered every expectation. Her laughter was infectious, her conversation was sharp and insightful, and her kindness to everyone she met felt genuine. At the gala, Lily floated through the crowd with ease, her presence pulling people towards her. Jack, who usually dominated any room, found himself captivated by her light-hearted energy. By the time the night ended, Jack wasn't ready to say goodbye. This wasn't just another night for him. He realized he hadn't felt this alive in years. As he escorted her back to her door that evening, he felt a spark, something he hadn't anticipated. And just like that, the usually stoic Jack Donovan fell, head over heels, for the girl he never expected. After that unforgettable evening, Jack found himself thinking about Lily constantly. It was irrational, maybe even a bit crazy, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to see her again. For the first time in years, he felt like his life had a purpose beyond wealth and status. He wanted her in his world, but he knew that simple words wouldn't be enough for someone as extraordinary as Lily. So, he planned something bold. Jack found out where Lily lived, a modest apartment in a quieter part of town. He arrived early one morning with a bouquet of lilies. He'd never been one for subtlety, and a heart pounding like he was a teenager again. But there was a twist. He didn't just want to hand her flowers like anyone else. Instead, Jack climbed up to her balcony, a risky move for someone used to penthouse elevators and private jets, and knocked gently on the glass. Lily, still in her pajamas, opened the balcony door and stared at him, stunned and amused. "Jack, what are you doing?" she asked, laughing but clearly taken aback by the sight of this billionaire perched on her tiny balcony. "Good morning," he said, a bit breathless but beaming as he held out the flowers. "I couldn't wait until the next gala to see you. So here I am." She laughed, shaking her head. "Most people use the door, you know." "Maybe," he replied, "but I wanted to stand out." That morning, Jack didn't just bring flowers. He brought breakfast from her favorite cafe, a fact he'd learned after a little detective work. As they shared pastries and coffee on her small balcony, the city waking up around them, Jack knew he'd made the right choice. Every laugh, every glance from Lily was like a piece of a puzzle he'd been searching for. As he left, he saw something new in her eyes, a hint of curiosity, maybe even a bit of affection. It was a start, and Jack wasn't going to stop now. After his bold balcony visit, Jack decided it was time to take things further. He didn't want Lily to think this was a passing infatuation. He wanted her to know he was serious. But he was also aware that, given their worlds were so different, she might be hesitant to let him in. Jack knew Lily loved art. She'd mentioned her dream of visiting the city's best galleries someday. So he rented out a private gallery for the evening, filling it with pieces from her favorite artists. When he invited her, he kept the details vague, simply telling her, "Dress up. Tonight is for you." When Lily arrived, her eyes widened at the sight of the gallery and the carefully curated collection of paintings. "Jack, this is incredible. You didn't have to do this." "I wanted to," he replied, meeting her gaze with sincerity. "I know this isn't your world, but if you'll let me, I want to make it feel like it could be." They spent hours wandering the gallery together, talking about art, life, and dreams. Jack was captivated not only by her insights but by the way she made everything around her feel brighter. The night felt like magic, and Jack began to realize that for the first time in his life, he was willing to leave everything behind just to see where this could lead. At the end of the evening, he took her hands and looked into her eyes. "Lily, I know this might seem sudden, but I feel like I've been waiting for you my whole life." For a moment, she looked away, her smile faltering. "I don't want to be someone's fantasy. I've had people make promises they couldn't keep. I'm not making a promise I don't intend to keep," he said, his voice firm. "Let me prove it." Lily gave him a soft smile, maybe even a hopeful one. "All right, Jeff. Show me what you've got." It was a small step, but Jack felt something shift that night. The walls Lily had around her heart were beginning to crack, and he was determined to be the one to break them down. Jack knew he couldn't let up now. Each moment he spent with Lily felt like discovering life anew, and he was more than ready to go to extraordinary lengths to prove that his feelings were real. He wanted to do something that spoke to the simplicity and beauty of how he felt about her. Lily once mentioned how much she loved music, not the sophisticated kind you'd hear at an orchestra but the soulful, classic rock songs that told stories of love and life. Jack took that as his cue for his next move. One evening, as Lily was winding down in her apartment, she heard a soft strumming outside her window. Confused, she stepped out onto her balcony and looked down to find Jack standing there with a guitar in hand, a small grin on his face. "Jack, what are you doing this time?" she laughed, clearly touched and surprised. "I heard you liked music," he called up, a slight blush coloring his usually confident demeanor. "So, I figured I'd give you a little concert." It wasn't exactly a virtuoso performance, but Jack's determination to sing his heart out, however off-key he was, made her laugh and cheer him on. As he sang, people began to gather, some even clapping along, but Jack's eyes never left hers. When he finished, the crowd gave him a small round of applause, but all he cared about was the look on Lily's face. She came downstairs, pulling him into an embrace as she laughed. "You are absolutely crazy, Jack Donovan. Nobody's ever done anything like that for me." "I told you," he said, still a little breathless. "I'm serious about you, Lily. I'll do whatever it takes." For the first time, Lily didn't try to hold back. She kissed him in front of everyone, and Jack felt like he'd won the world. That night, under the glow of streetlights and the cheers of strangers, something unbreakable formed between them. Just as things were beginning to feel perfect, reality had a way of intervening. Jack and Lily's worlds were still worlds apart, and though they tried to ignore it, the differences started surfacing in small but significant ways. Jack's friends and business associates were polite to her but always distant, while Lily's friends were skeptical of Jack, wondering if he was merely having fun and would eventually move on. One evening, Jack invited Lily to a high society charity event. It was a black tie affair, and while she looked stunning, she couldn't ignore the judgmental stares and whispers from those around them. She'd been introduced to dozens of people, each one more powerful than the last, but no one seemed to care who she was beyond her connection to Jack. Lily excused herself, heading to the powder room to take a breath. She was struggling to fit into this world that seemed ready to reject her at every turn. Jack found her there a few minutes later, looking defeated. "Lily, are you all right?" he asked, his voice full of concern. She took a deep breath and met his eyes. "Jack, I don't belong here. Philip, I'm just a guest in your life, and everyone knows it." Jack was silent for a moment, realizing the toll this was taking on her. He took her hands in his gaze unwavering. "Lily, you're not a guest in my life. You're my life. None of these people matter if they can't see how amazing you are. It's just difficult. I feel like they're all waiting for me to fail." "Then let them wait," he said firmly. "Because you're not going anywhere. And neither am I." Jack walked her out of the event that night, not caring what anyone thought. The two of them headed to her favorite diner, far from the glitz and glamour, where they laughed over milkshakes and fries. Jack knew then that he was ready to give up the approval of his world if it meant having a future with her. That night marked a turning point for them. Jack realized that he'd have to fight to keep her in his life, and Lily understood that Jack was willing to sacrifice it all just to make her feel secure and loved. After that night, Jack knew he needed to prove his commitment to Lily in a way that couldn't be ignored. She deserved more than just whispered promises and fleeting gestures. He wanted to make her a part of his life completely, publicly, and permanently. One evening, he invited her to his family estate, a beautiful mansion overlooking the coast. Jack had arranged a special dinner on the terrace, with twinkling lights, soft music, and the sound of the ocean in the background. Lily, unaware of what he had planned, arrived to find Jack looking more serious than ever. After they shared a beautiful dinner, he took her hand and led her to the edge of the terrace, where the ocean waves crashed against the rocks below. The moonlight shimmered on the water, casting a soft glow over them. "Lily," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "you've changed my life in ways I didn't think were possible. You've shown me a world beyond money and status, a world filled with laughter, love, and genuine happiness. I don't care about the opinions of others. I only care about you." She looked at him, her eyes widening with realization as he dropped to one knee, a small velvet box in his hand. "Will you marry me, Lily? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'm all in, that I'll always be by your side, no matter what?" Tears welled up in her eyes, and she nodded, unable to contain her smile. 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and they embraced, the world around them fading away. This wasn't just a proposal, it was a promise that he would stand by her, no matter how challenging the journey became. That night marked the beginning of their new life together, a life where they were each other's world, undaunted by the opinions of others. Jack knew that with her by his side, he had something more valuable than anything he'd ever owned. As word of Jack's engagement to Lily spread, the media had a field day. Gossip columns and tabloids exploded with headlines: "Billionaire bachelor falls for commoner. Jack Donovan engaged to former escort." Every detail of her past was exposed, and the press showed no mercy, dragging up anything and everything they could find. People speculated endlessly, questioning her intentions, her background, and even her worthiness. For Lily, it was overwhelming. Paparazzi camped outside their home, following her every move. The scrutiny was relentless, and there were days when she could barely leave the house without feeling like she was under attack. Jack did everything he could to shield her, but even he couldn't control the tidal wave of attention. One evening, after another particularly brutal tabloid story, Lily broke down. "Jack, I don't know if I can do this," she confessed, her voice shaky. "All this attention, the judgment. It feels like I'm being crushed." Jack took her hands, his face filled with determination. "Lily, we'll get through this. I won't let them tear us apart." "But you shouldn't have to deal with this," she said, the hurt clear in her eyes. "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough for you." Jack's expression hardened. "Lily, don't ever say that. You're more than enough. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." Then he did something that shocked both Lily and the media. The next day, he held a press conference, something he never did for personal matters. Standing before a crowd of reporters, he declared, "I am marrying Lily because she is the love of my life, the person who makes me want to be better. If anyone has a problem with that, then take it up with me, not her." His words echoed in headlines and news broadcasts. By standing up for her so publicly, Jack silenced much of the criticism. Slowly, people began to see her as more than just a label, realizing that she was the person Jack had chosen, no matter their opinions. For the first time in weeks, Lily felt a sense of peace. Jack had proven that he would fight for her, even if it meant standing against the world. Together, they were stronger than any rumor or scandal. After the press conference, things gradually began to settle down. Jack and Lily's story was no longer just gossip. It became a tale that people respected, even admired. They had faced the harshest public scrutiny and come out stronger, showing that their love was built on more than just passion. It was built on loyalty, resilience, and a deep understanding of each other. But Jack wasn't done showing Lily the depths of his love. On their wedding day, he wanted to do something unforgettable, something that would symbolize everything they had been through together. Instead of hosting the grand, opulent ceremony everyone expected, Jack planned an intimate beach wedding, just the two of them, with only a handful of close friends and family. As the sun set, they stood barefoot in the sand, the waves lapping at their feet. Lily's eyes sparkled with a mixture of joy and disbelief, and as they exchanged vows, Jack promised her more than a lifetime of love. He promised her a life of acceptance, a world where she would always feel valued, protected, and cherished. "I never expected to meet someone who would change my life so completely," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. "But you did. You showed me what it means to truly live, to truly love. I will spend every day making sure you feel how much you mean to me." When it was Lily's turn, she took his hands and looked up at him, her voice steady and filled with love. "Jack, I didn't believe in fairy tales. I never thought I'd meet someone who would see past everything the world defined me by. But you did. You've given me more than love. You've given me a life I never dared to dream of. I will stand by you, through everything, just as you've stood by me." With those words, they became husband and wife, sealing their journey with a kiss as the waves crashed behind them. As the years went by, Jack and Lily built a life together filled with laughter, warmth, and an unbreakable bond. They traveled the world, supported each other through every high and low, and grew together in ways they'd never imagined. Their story became one of inspiration, proof that love could transcend any boundary and that, sometimes, the most unlikely people find their way to each other's hearts. They had faced a world determined to keep them apart, but together, they had built a world of their own, one where they could be themselves, in love, forever. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. Your interest and support inspire us to bring you more captivating tales filled with emotions, twists, and the complexity of life, love, betrayal, and redemption. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. We value your voice and want to hear what you feel. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new story, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Thank you for bringing this channel to life with your views and encouragement. See you in the next story.